Hey guys, long time no see. I don't even know if it's gonna load. I'm at that point right now where I'm so frustrated with this stuff. I don't know, but I think I don't know if I got it, don't got it. I think they're working. I did one this morning about Sebastian Rodgers, and it's loading right now. It says it has like 57 minutes, I think. So at least that one's loading. And then there's another one that was 2 hours and something, and it's barely loading at all, but it's still loading. At least the wheel's turning, right? I wanted to come on for a minute to talk about something in the Idaho 4 case. And, there's so much out there right now, dropping bombs all the time, right? But we knew that they had such a strong case. And if we really think about it, when they took that house down, we should have known that they were pretty overly confident that they were going to be successful in this, right? I've always said that. I said they had a mountain of evidence when a lot of y'all said they had nothing. And now what do y'all see coming, right? And one thing that really bothered me, and I did a video. Wow, that sounds beautiful. I did a video about, I don't know, a month ago, and I never posted it because I felt that it wasn't relevant yet, and because not a lot was out there yet. But then as everything started dropping, we just got to this field to take our break, but we as everything started coming out, come on, dude, this way. Let's go down here. We're trying to find these keys real quick. We've been looking for them, like I said, 23 months now? We're in April already, so yeah, 23 months. We don't give up. We won't quit. I promise that. Right, Rube? We're not going to quit. But, wow, there's like a lot of sticker burrs everywhere. If y'all remember Rodgers, okay? Y'all remember him, right? He was always posting videos about himself and how he couldn't find women, or women didn't love him, but he had fancy cars and money. And, a lot of people know who he is, I'm sure. For those that don't, he went on a revenge rampage and targeted a sorority house in Santa Barbara, California. He unalived 6 people. Truly heartbreaking. Just because women wouldn't give him a chance, right? He just had a lot of issues, right? And then as soon as the Papa Rodgers came out, that was my first thought. That was my first thought when I saw the Papa Rodgers going on in the Idaho 4 case, right? The Facebook. And then, of course, it was taken down. They removed him, and then he started a new one. Said anything goes, Idaho 4. But why he had Papa Rodgers? That photo, we know, is from Moscow, Russia, basically. It's a Russian military guy that he just created. What he did was he generated a 3D image of his face sideways and put the uniform on it, I feel. Because clearly it's almost identical looking to Brian Koberger with the hint of Elliot Rodgers. And was he trying to be like him? If he was experiencing the same thing, right? We don't have any accounts of him ever having a girlfriend. We don't have, oh my God, look at these flowers, guys. We don't have any evidence, right, that he's ever had a girlfriend. Look at these buttercups. Ruby, there's a white one. Oh, wow, you never see white ones. That one right there, all standing out in the middle. Maybe that's a sign. Sebastian Rodgers or Summer Wells or Suzanne. Maybe someone's going to be found today. Ruby, you love all these flowers. They're so pretty. Here, ladies, all y'all hope these flowers make up for all our lost time that we've not been able to get these videos right and they're not loading. So here's plenty. Look at this, dozens and dozens of flowers for y'all ladies. Please forgive me and Ruby. Wait, and here's some more down here further. Okay, I'm coming, goofball. Here's another group right here. No white ones though. See that, guys? Not to change the subject, but I'm just saying, y'all see how I didn't have no white in there? Only white was over here. But the thing is that got me was I felt like he was basically he was trying to do what, oh, there's another white one. There's two white ones in here, that one and this one. Anyway, he was trying to copy him in a way, I think. Think about it, right? Okay, Kaylee was in that same sorority that the victims from Elliot Rodgers were in, right? What was it, the Alpha Pi, something like that, PHI, I think at the end. Yeah, all capital letters. You know, I always felt that it had some kind of connection in his way, in his brain. Like, because, you know, he wanted a woman so bad, and then the one time that some girl, I guess, gave in and talked to him, and they went to her apartment or whatever, her dorm or whatever, to watch a Netflix movie, and she got so creeped out by Brian Kohlberger that she went in the bathroom and acted like she was throwing up. So he would leave. And that tells us something, right? And even look at the body cam footage when he's speaking with the officer. He was trying to get his way out of not getting a ticket, right? And he did. He did a good job. Just like he did on his way home with his father, he was pulled over twice and received a ticket neither time for tailgating. So, I think those pullovers were something totally different. But then again, I could be wrong. But back to why I think Elliot Rodgers, Papa Rodgers, was living through that same time, because he was feeling the same way that the other guy was feeling, but he didn't know how to put it out there, right? And he wasn't one that was going to make a video, right? He would rather mock people by typing in and creating a fake name and then giving us information that only he would know, right? Because when he talked about the sleeve being left behind, he clearly was the only one at that particular time that knew about that. So, do I say that that's, I don't know. That's, to me, that's different. And, you know, those hazmat suits that I talked about, like the Tyvek suits is what we call them. You better leave that bee alone, girl. It's going to bite you. Trying to catch a bee. You're not going to catch no bee, girl. But, you know, in a way, I think that suit, he had on something over those coveralls. But then again, maybe he had it under the coveralls. Have you ever thought that maybe he had a change of clothes on, then put the Tyvek suit over those clothes, right, which they have the feet and everything. You just put them over those clothes, and then put your the dicky coveralls on top. And then all you have to do is whenever you go outside is just unzip the top coveralls and then unzip the Tyveks and pull it through the coveralls, and you would leave nothing behind, because it would be folded on the inside of the Tyvek suit. So I don't know. I don't know if that's what it was. I don't know. I just know that for me, I've always felt like Papa Rodgers was Brian Kohlberger. Could I be wrong? 100%. Am I? Probably. It's not in the probable cause affidavit. But the one thing that is, and one of the things that were discovered, was as we go back to the glove that had an ID or IDs in it, put in a box, right? Put it in like a surgical glove and then stuck it in a box and then stuck it in a closet at his parents' house in that room. Like, did he bring it with him? Probably. And whose IDs are there? The only one that from what we know that had any form of anything out that looked like, I guess, was Xana, right? Because she had just did a DoorDash order. I think her driver's license or something was found on the floor. Like, was it something of Xana's? I don't know. A lot of people have always thought that Xana was a target, but we know so much more now, though, that he basically did not have a belt on, right? He wanted to commit the perfect, but he didn't. And he left way too much behind to me. But it goes to show you that there's a reason there's no such thing as a perfect crime, right? There's a reason of that. And the thing is I think he was a twisted, sick individual to me, and it started in his childhood. It started when he was overweight, being bullied, probably being picked on, started building up hatred and resentment, and it just grew from there, right? That's what led to the substance abuses, the stealing of his sister's phone, getting the cops called on him by his father, all these things, right? And I've always said that this, in my opinion, this was never his first time. There's no way that your first time would be able to do that to 4 individuals. But was he trying to copy Elliot Rodgers and commit 6 homicides? Because he knows there were 6 girls in that home that lived in that home at one time. There were 6 individuals. So that would have been a house of 6, just like Elliot Rodgers did. He unalived 6 girls from the sororities and stuff. And it was the same sorority as Kaylee. So I don't know. Xana was at that sorority party that night. I don't know, right? But, there was some kinds of struggle, we believe, in the hallway. But how Ethan ended up in the room, I don't know. Did the fight escalate to the room? Did it get pushed into that room? Was it a scuffle in that room with Ethan trying to get in front of Xana to protect Xana? I'm sure. This is a big dude, right? And evidently he was met in the hallway, which, if that is to be correct, right? We don't know for sure. I don't like to speculate much in this. Y'all know that. But the reason I'm even discussing it is because I feel like that Brian Koberger may have been trying to copy Elliot Rodgers. And, I should have put that video out a month ago, but we didn't have, like I said, half of this information. So it would have been like, it would have been a lot of questions as to why, right? Because at that point, we didn't know that Dylan Morrison had been the eyewitness, and how very important her testimony would be. Intoxicated or not, she did an amazing, incredible job. And thank God for her friend, Bethany, downstairs. Hurry, run to my room, run, right? At least get down here and get safe with me. 2 is better than 1, right? And, we don't give them, we've never really given them the credit. The credit that both of them girls, the bravery that both of them girls, right? They were both living in that house. They were both roommates. So, yes, Dylan happened to be on that floor and hear the noise. Now we know that something had come out about her telling them to quiet down. She was trying to go to sleep. So, that's something new, right, that we didn't really know before. But we know, of course, that what she said now, the 911 call, all those things. Now I understand it a lot more now, which I never guessed. I never second-guessed anything about her testimony. Because why? Because if the judge is going to say what he said about her and how important it was, we have to look at it at that, because that little bitty police department did an amazing job, right, on this case from the start. And to lock everything down, to be so picky about how they did things, right? The good thing is like, the white Elantra, right, which was always the topic. If you go to the Papa Rogers thing, he said it wasn't relevant. But and if you think about the cell phone, the actual cell phone data, right? Something that always bothered me was he had been there 12 times prior. This was the 13th trip on the 13th day of the month. Okay, this was the 13th time that he had went to that house in the middle of the night. The 13th, and it was on the 13th. Okay, but this is the only time that he shut his phone off. The only time. Out of all those other trips, guys, all 12 of the trips before that, starting in August, from when he was pulled over for running the red light or whatever, I think from that day forward, or from right around in that time zone forward, he had been looking at that house. And I'm wondering, you know, why? Okay, it just doesn't point. Think about it the way I just said it, right? If you think about, okay, if I go 12 times somewhere, and then on the 13th time that I go to that area, 4 people end up unalive. My phone was turned off for around 2 hours. And I had never turned my phone off all 12 times before that. Y'all be like, hold on a minute, something's not adding up. And the car is seen X amount of laps and then leaving at a high rate of speed, right? And a lot of this was in the Papa Rodgers tweets. I have them all. I'll break them down tonight for y'all guys and we'll go over them. But, you know, like the red hair and all these things that he was saying led it up to be that it was him, right? I mean, it did. It clearly did. And I don't know, guys. It's just, it blows my mind, some of the stuff that's gone on in this case. And it's all dried out now, Rube. And, you know, it's truly, it's heartbreaking as it is to even talk about this case. We have to look at the overall picture. What was Brian's motive? Was it like Elliot Rodgers? Was it just a motive within their brain that, hey, women don't love me, they don't like me, why? I have everything, I'm going to be a doctor, you know, like things of this nature, right? Like, is that what it was this all really about? And then we know that he had tried messaging one of those girls quite a few times. I know a lot of people don't feel it, but believe me, it's going to come out in the court. And then we'll know. A lot of this stuff that we talk about now is going to come out. And that's the good thing about it. Like, you know, like Kaylee's dad, which I call him Superman, like he said in that interview after those last big docket drop, right? He was so happy to shut up the speculators, to let them know the amount of proof, right? Because he's the one that clearly said early on that when Banfield was interviewing him, early on he said, when the house was torn down, what did he say? They didn't need the house. They're telling me 100% it's a win. Okay, when there's 4 children involved, 4 college students going to college, living in the same house, this happens to them, and the father, one of the fathers of one of the victims, says this, wow, that's powerful. It makes us realize, oh my goodness, you know, they got something more than what we know. We didn't know that Dylan's statement even existed when everybody was dogging this poor girl. Oh, cover up and cartel and really? Are you serious? These are 4 children. And you're going to say that? It never made sense to me how some people were cold. And little do they know now, how do you feel about her now? Right? How do we, I'm not speaking for everyone, but I'm saying there's certain people that have been really bad haters towards these roommates. How do you feel now that this came out, that when the man was walking out of their home, she was already describing him on the phone? Right? The white Elantra. I mean, what's the coincidence that car, particular car, you know what? The thing is, let me just go back and before, because I don't want to start a whole bunch of drama. But think about it this way. You leave your Washington apartment. You go down the road a little ways, you turn your phone off. That's the number one mistake. The number one mistake was you should have never taken your cell phone. You're a criminology major, going for your PhD. You know you cannot take your cell phone. You know that you need to unhook any OnStar, anything in your car that's going to track you. GPS in any way. Like, you don't, that should have been, he's criminology major, he should have known these things, right? And he did it. The number one mistake was turning your phone off while you were driving down the road in that white Honda Elantra. That ended up, they followed that car all the way to Pullman, Washington. From when the time you turned the phone off to the time you turned the phone back on, that's when everything happened. And then you were seen going back to your apartment in the same car that was just making loops and loops and loops all around. I mean, do you not realize that the car And the cell phone, I think the cell phone technology is going to blow y'all's mind when it comes to court. Because it's going to paint a timeline. It's going to paint the timeline down to the minute. Remember, we have her text message at 4:19 and whatever, a few seconds, saying, the bush, there's somebody here in bushy eyebrows, right? So that's when he was probably already outside, I think, because I've always thought, the paparazzi's person said 15 minutes. Most likely it was 15 minutes. Because I've always felt that was him. And exact amount of time he said was, 15 minutes, I think, right? So, and roughly he was in the house about 15 minutes. That puts him in that house around around 4:06, 4:07, anytime in there. If he was already ready, he didn't need to get ready outside that car. If he was already, look at him, how fast he was driving, whipping around, going around. When he saw the opportunity, I don't think he would have done all this stuff beforehand. I think he was in that room right after he parked, in that house right after he parked. He went straight in and did it. That was in his mind. That's what he was going to do. He was going to execute his plan, and he did it. Heartbreaking and sad as it happened. Justice has to be now, right? So everything that he did up to that point. Now, if he would have turned his phone off before he left his apartment, then look how much better of an argument he would have right now. He would say, all you have is my car. Okay, but I'm over here. I didn't go there. I was sightseeing only a mile down the road. But when you took your phone with you and turned it off after you were driving, that was the biggest mistake. Because I always felt that cell phone, no matter if it was off whenever it happened, it's how he turned it off and on that put that window of, it put that white Honda Elantra right there outside that home at 4:05, at 3:57 a.m., at 3:29, every pass that it made until it stopped. It was all accounted for, all in that time zone, right? In that time of his phone being off. So that's what I've always said. Prove your alibi to me. Because there's no way, unless you had a second cell phone that you could have taken to the area you were going to sightsee or star gauge in, turned the recorder on with a battery pack hooked up to it so it wouldn't go dead, and leave. And then you could take still shots from that video saying, look, I was star gauging, right? That's what I thought he was going to try to do. But now that we know it's only one phone number, and the only reason they had his cell phone number to begin with was because of him being pulled over by the female officer there in Moscow in August. That's why. That's why they had the cell phone number. So when they pulled up the vehicle, that's when they saw the driver's license. And of course, what do you see when you see those big old bushy eyebrows and you're thinking about this 20-year-old girl that's so scared right now she probably can't even talk, and she's telling you bushy eyebrows, you're going to take that to heart 100%, right? And granted, yes, they're going to try to throw this and that out, but I don't think he ever thought it would come to any of this. I think he thought he was going to get away with this. And had he gotten away with it before? I don't know. Evidently, there's a few things that might be coming out in this. I don't know yet. I'm waiting to see. I'm anxious because I've told y'all before in one of those older videos I did about those two other vegans, that one couple and then the one lady that lived down the road, that his parents were actually subpoenaed to show up in her trial. That's why I always thought maybe he was connected. Was that the ID? Was the ID from somebody totally different than any one of those four in that home? I don't know that. We don't know that. You know, I've always wondered, are they going to be able to tie any way, like, you know, the Papa Rodgers to him? I'm just wondering, because it's not out there, as it hasn't been dropped yet, at least, in any court records. You know, I'm curious. And it could be that I'm totally wrong, but when we break down all the messages, you'll see what I'm talking about. Like, it makes sense that it's like only he would know this, but, you know, I don't know. And then it stopped immediately when he was arrested. And then it was all taken down, they think, by the FBI. Were they taking it down to use that in court? I don't know. Did they delete it to save everything to use it in court? Don't know. We won't know that yet, but I don't know if we'll ever know that for sure. We might not. It might not ever become anything. I think it'll be brought up in the court. I do. I've always had that thought, but I could be totally wrong too, right? Uh-oh, my battery's, oh Lord, I got fire. Uh-oh, my battery's finna go dead. Hey Rube, we gotta cut off now. Hey guys, we love y'all guys. I'm so sorry. Trigger warning times 100 million. Allegedly, these are just my opinions, my thoughts, my theories, my speculation, my free speech, not to reflect the channel. Y'all's comments, y'all's alone, not to reflect the channel. We do our research together because we are a big-hearted little family. I'm so sorry to cut y'all off short, but my phone is fixing to die and I have no battery pack. All right, guys, we love you. I'm so sorry. We'll come back on in a little while. We love y'all guys. Be safe. Remember, allegedly, these are just my thoughts, my opinions. So take it as a grain of salt. We'll talk soon, guys. Justice for Idaho 4, right? Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, Ethan. All right, guys, talk soon. Love y'all. All right, say bye, Ruby. She's relaxing in the high green grass. All right, guys, we'll talk soon. Be safe. All right, bye.